A massive thank you to Snirop, Swag, Isaac, Percy and Mario for subscribing to the channel. If you're not already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return for round 12 of Season 3 of the F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back at Le Castellet this weekend and big news. I've hinted at it over the last few races. We have been saving up for something pretty special inside F1 22. It's a sad day, I'm sure, for some, but certainly a very interesting one for others, because we can now officially confirm that Lewis Hamilton has joined us at 212 Motorsport. Yeah, I kind of felt a little bit bad about pushing Teo Porcher to the side, but to be honest, he's been consistent, but not quite where we wanted him, of course. Only had that one podium this year that came at the Monaco Grand Prix. Apart from that, he's been sort of floundering towards the lower half of the top 10. A couple of unlucky DNFs as well have really cost him over the course of the year. But yes, now we are going to be going up against the 7-time Formula 1 World Champion, Lewis Hamilton. Of course, 100 rated currently on F1 Manager. There are 100 experience, 100 racecraft, 97 awareness, and 100 pace. This is going to be the ultimate test on F1 2022. I'm just going to may as well pick up the final driver perk that we need as well there. But yeah, I mean, now it means obviously we can start spending money on facility upgrades once more. Actually, I don't think at the moment we're going to be able to do any more before we head into this weekend. But yeah, it should then mean, of course, we've got all the R&D points that we need, so we can really then just go through the final few upgrades on the car and get ourselves fighting towards the front of the grid once more there, as you can just see. There's a few other little bits and pieces going on as we head towards Le Castellet. Of course, yeah, Teo Porcher had a good year with the team, of course. Came in last year at the French Grand Prix, was immediately stronger than Oscar Piastri, but often you find the F2 drivers can't quite match those in Formula 1 there. So, yeah, it's I don't know. Let me know how you feel about this one down in the comments below. But championship-wise, though, at the moment, Max Verstappen now tied at the top with Valtteri Bottas there, 184 points apiece. We're 27 back still, sat in P3, but Bottas has had a really rough run of form over the last couple of weekends. Constructors-wise, Ferrari are starting to get a little bit closer as well as we head towards France this weekend, but surely now with a 7-time world champion alongside us, we're going to be fighting right at the very front. Let's get into it though, French GP. I mean, let me know down in the comments below how you think Lewis Hamilton's going to get on in the second half of the season. Of course, now we can start piling on more upgrades to the car as well. You know, we should be a real threat. Feel like the constructors might be slightly out of reach this year, but you never know what might happen in the second half of the campaign there. But yeah, I can't believe we're already halfway through Season 3, technically over halfway through, of course, when you factor in the fact we've already done 2 of the sprint race weekends. I do hear you guys loud and clear as well. I will strongly consider bringing in the sprint race and the main event into one video towards, you know, once we get into Season 4. It's probably going to mean the videos are close to an hour long, but if it's something you guys want to see, then I'm more than happy to make it a possibility as well there. But yeah, jumping into free practice though here from Le Castellet has often been a happy hunting ground for us in the past. Let's see if that continues on this weekend. We're a long way up in the green as we head out of the final corner. Are we just about going to be able to clutch up into the purple? Yes, we can! Only just there, but we do pick up a purple score. Perfect way to kickstart. Let's see if we can continue on. Right, in the final corner then, ERS test coming up next. I mean, Le Castellet is a very high-speed circuit, but often the game doesn't actually seem to believe you should be able to go as quick as you can down the straights, which does often mean that this track actually pretty fair when it comes to its practice programs. When I say pretty fair, I mean actually pretty easy. As long as you haven't got the qualifying sim run, that still has its issues. And again, heading out of the final corner though, I haven't used a single bit of ERS on this lap. We're still going to be near enough a second up. That is comfortably in the purple. Let's get into qualifying, I guess. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like. immediately jumping into Q2 then here in Le Castellet, and I mean, based on Q1 times, Lewis Hamilton, a few months out of the sport, hasn't really seemed to have lost anything at all, but you probably wouldn't expect that from the only driver in Formula 1 history to have claimed over 100 pole positions, and of course 100 wins as well to his name. Obviously a few more in this alternative universe. I can't quite remember off the top of my head how many race victories Hamilton has had in the My Team series, but yeah, back at the Castellet, he is immediately posting times that I don't quite believe we would have ever seen from Teo Porcher there. And as much as I like Teo, you know, it was kind of good timing as well, of course, starting to do the career mode in the F2 cars with him as well, so it's not like he's leaving the channel fully, and, you know, he might get a seat as well, ready for Season 4 of this career mode. To be honest, I'm surprised he actually wasn't picked up by another team there, but out onto the back straight there, of course, the Mistral straight here at Circuit Paul Ricard. Yeah, like I said, I actually do really quite enjoy racing this track. I feel like I say that a lot, though, when we come back to this circuit. Hamilton at 130.2 there actually isn't as competitive as he was in Q1. Times to see you through into Q3 are probably going to be mid to low 29s, I feel. The final corner, though, up towards the line, Zhou Guanyu 29.5. We are going to do a 29.3. So, yeah, pretty early on still in the session, but that should be enough to see us straight through. Well, there we go then. It was straight through into Q3, but it was a little bit closer than I would have wanted there. But look at that. Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, 4 drivers, 4 different teams, 4 different power units, covered by 1/10 of a second at the end of Q2. Let's get into Q3 though. We are going to need a competitive 28. That is going to require a lot out of this car. Well, immediately heading out into Q3, and it's looking very, very overcast around the Castellet. Could we see some late rain in this qualifying session? I'm probably going to have to do a couple of sweat mode laps, to be honest, to make sure we get the most out of the car, but this is going to require a lot of work to even try and get into the 28s, never mind a mid-28. Hamilton, yeah, is still a different breed, I think, in this car. Final corner though to finish off our first run here in Q3. What is the time going to be? 29.0. Still a couple of tenths away from Bottas and Hamilton. I do find it quite funny as well. The 2 former teammates that saw so much success at Mercedes are now probably going to be fighting at the front against Mercedes. But yeah, that's a pretty decent benchmark. I'm all sat back in the pit box. It's not looking good, actually. The rain has started to fall here at Le Castellet, so it was a good job we did get that time in when we did. Sergio Perez there, blistering lap time to get back into the mid-28. But I think, yeah, the track's really fallen off there. You can see the likes of Leclerc and Verstappen a long, long way off the pace you'd be expecting from them. And the track isn't meant to get better either, I don't think. Let's have a quick look. I'm looking in all the wrong places. Yeah, rain is just meant to continue on towards the end of qualifying there, so a bit anticlimactic. But I'm happy we got the run in when we did. Well, there we go then, the end of qualifying for the French Grand Prix. And yeah, like I said, a bit anticlimactic, but Sergio Perez on the pole ahead of Valtteri Bottas there. Hamilton on his return to F1 in P3 ahead of myself and George Russell. So yeah, Hamilton going rather unsurprisingly quicker than Nicholas Latifi there, but I'm sure he's quite happy to have gone quicker than George. Zhou Guanyu, Daniel Ricciardo, Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc rounds out the top 10. Verstappen's got his work cut out tomorrow if he wants to retain that championship lead, but we have got a big chance here. If we can get ahead of Bottas, we could start finally taking some good points out of the pair of them. Let's get into it though. French GP time, but first, a quick word from our sponsors. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Hello and welcome from the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. Now, it's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. So let's hope we see more of those in the race today. A lap of Paul Ricard then consists of 15 corners and a total length of around 3.6 miles. Drivers will need to position their cars carefully on the exit of the flat-out turn 10, ready for the double apex right-hander at 11. Watch out for potential overtaking action at the end of the start-finish straight and into the heavy braking zone of turn 8. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Mr. Monaco, George Russell and Joe, Ricciardo, Norris, Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Schwartzman, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi and Felipe Drugovich, Tictum, Albon, Gasly and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Now, Natalie Pinkham, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, trying to put pressure on or disrupt things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you've got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut whilst leaving the other out longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into making an error.
Okay, this is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix, so let's give them a race worth watching.
Right, well, here we are then at Le Castellet, and I really do hope at some point soon coders are going to fix the grid rundown, because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the same on PC and PlayStation, but they look awful now on Xbox, and I don't know why. It's a bizarre little thing that I'm guessing was an oversight in a recent patch there. But yeah, it just looked horrendous for the last couple of GPs. But strategy today, though, is probably going to be medium to hard then around Le Castellet. But for the first time in a long while, actually, since probably Monaco, we've now actually got 2 cars right at the front of the field that can hopefully fight for the race victory today. Hamilton alongside us. We've got one of our big championship rivals just in front. We've got the other championship rival's teammate starting on the pole. Let's wait and see as to what happens in this afternoon's Grand Prix. 27 laps ahead of us. Le Castellet is actually, in terms of race time, actually one of the shortest on the calendar, but doesn't mean it's going to stop us having hopefully plenty, of opportunities to try and get right to the front. Well, it's been a couple of days since I last raced on F1 22, but qualifying felt pretty good, so I don't feel like I've lost too much performance either, as well as obviously our brand new teammate Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, excited to see how we get on today, though. Fingers crossed we can try and have a good race out, and maybe we can get both cars on to the podium. But of course, we've got to think bigger picture. The main goal, of course, is to be trying to take points out of Bottas and Verstappen in the championship. Has almost flipped the throttle too hard there, but luckily we managed to ride the brake as well. But ready on the grid then, just waiting on Sir Lancelot to round out the final grid position. We'll be ready to go then here in Le Castellet, waiting on those 5 red lights like I said. Round 12 of the year from Paul Ricard. And it is lights out, and away we go. And second gear there was not what we wanted as we head down towards Sermon. Ricciardo, George Russell, Zhou Guanyu, all going to try and look past me there. We'll try and fight back against Zhou Guanyu as Bottas immediately tries to take the lead there. He has taken the lead off the start of the Grand Prix, but here comes Lewis Hamilton down in towards turn 3. They're immediately on the offensive in his return to Formula 1. Then Checo Perez, whoa, Sergio almost rejoined into me there. We had to mash the throttle to make sure that we could get ahead of him before he swung back onto the racing line there, but not a good rejoin from Sergio. Of course, that part of the circuit's even got the bit labelled that we are meant to go. So horrible start for Sergio Perez immediately is going to try and apply some pressure back to me there. Look at the Red Bull straight line speed as we head down in towards the chicane here on the opening lap, and not confident enough to try and get the nose back at the inside of Sergio Perez, who has been mugged off by one of our cars, but has mugged off the other there, as Bottas now leads the way, ahead of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell there. All three of Mercedes drivers since 2017 are the top 3 in this Grand Prix. There, and only one of them currently drives for the team. Ricciardo, though, lightning starting with a P4 there. He's had a very, very quiet season so far in his Ferrari, but of course they're starting just to pick up the pace at this stage of the campaign as well, and maybe Ricciardo getting more comfortable in that car as we've got his teammate Charles Leclerc just behind us. But Sergio Perez might have been very, very quick down the straights. I think we're running a bit more downforce though than Checo. So through the final sector of the lap there, look at that, up the inside will go of Sergio Perez round through the final corner, and we will retake that P5 then at the end of that one. So Sergio Perez then, horrible start, got a missile start in this Grand Prix. They're from first down to 6th, but we're now back up into P5 then of the GP. But could we see Hamilton potentially trying to apply some pressure to Valtteri Bottas there, as I was not looking where I was going through turn 1. Leclerc now up into P6, but he's on soft, so he is going to be in for a bit of a different afternoon. Well, after the nightmare weekend that was the Austrian Grand Prix, Valtteri Bottas, I think early on here, just wants to cement himself as the dominant force here in, not Spielberg, Le Castellet, even I should say, is now, of course, DRS enabled. We're just hanging on inside the 1 second zone of Daniel Ricciardo, but yeah, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez just behind, not sticking too close to me, so hopefully we won't have to worry too much. Red Bull seem to be lacking a little bit early on this weekend, although we'll wait and see when I have to eat my words later on when they both sail back past me with their insane straight line speed. But yeah, now we're inside the DRS range. I feel like Russell is certainly within range of Hamilton, Ricciardo inside George Russell's range, and we're definitely within range of Daniel Ricciardo. But Hamilton, basically I'm trying to say Hamilton is the only one of us four that is not in DRS range of the car in front. And now well and truly the middle of a Ferrari sandwich here. Charles Leclerc's just set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix as Perez already losing touch there. Really has been a very, very quick downfall from the Mexican after his Saturday heroics. But here comes George Russell then on his former teammate Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, though, a wily old fox, of course, and will position the car where he needs to defend from that one. But Daniel Ricciardo, we want to try and move past the Australian ideally sooner rather than later here, because I'm just a bit worried actually about Charles Leclerc's pace early on in this Grand Prix. But Bottas, he's just checked out at the front of the field there. We've got yellow flags out. I think it was one of the Haas cars going slowly, but I think they've been able to keep going. Out onto the back straight though once more, this time around even closer to Daniel Ricciardo, and we might try and go on the offensive this time. We've just spent the last couple of laps saving up a little bit of battery here, so we can finally sort of test what the top end speed of this car is like. You just see headed down the back straight though, not quite enough that time around, was almost into Ricciardo's gearbox. Can we get a good run off the chicane though? Whoa! Light at the rear wheels in 4th gear there, but once again we're going to keep on the battery pack as we head up in towards the seam corner here, side by side with Daniel Ricciardo. We'll just about squeeze our way through there. A little bit of understeer actually through the midway point of the corner, but now hopefully we can try and help Lewis Hamilton here, be a bit of a rear gunner against George Russell. But yeah, already starting to feel that maybe Hamilton was the right choice to have as our teammate. Here we go, George Russell again on Lewis Hamilton as we head up the Mistral straight, but are we now going to be able to try and get into the mix here? Closing in on George Russell as that Merc definitely doesn't seem to have particularly brilliant straight line speed. Oh! George Russell, big lock up there right at the last moment in towards the corner. I thought for a brief moment that was an engine failure, there was that much smoke suddenly, but George Russell pressured into a mistake apparently then at this stage of the GP, and now up into P3 as the rear gunner now behind Lewis Hamilton. So both our cars up one spot in this race, but could we work together to close back up to Bottas, or is that McLaren just too fast at the front of the field? I've been following Lewis Hamilton over the last couple of laps, and I think at this stage of the day we can thoroughly conclude that Bottas is a whole lot quicker than our teammate here. So I'm going to try and make a move on Hamilton, cost him as little time as possible against the cars behind, but Hamilton just doesn't quite have the pace to match that McLaren there. Sort of rattle over the curbs a little bit, but they do complete the move all clean and tidy. We need to go on the offensive though, see if we've got the pace to match Valtteri here. But that McLaren, I know I've said it before on this game, but that thing is so fast at the moment, and Bottas does seem to be able to know how to get absolutely everything out of it as well. It really is a new Valtteri Bottas, of course now already a one-time Formula 1 world champion, but yeah, weekends like this, he is just simply unstoppable. Oh, there we go, Charles Leclerc then, first one into the pits at the end of lap 9. So I think it is just Charles, though, out of the front runners that was on those soft compound tyres. It's gap now to Valtteri, under 5 seconds again, nearly actually. We have got the pace to match him here. We'll wait and see over the next couple of laps, but 4.8, I think, was the gap as we crossed the timing beam. Right, well, Team want us in then at the end of this lap. I'm intrigued to see whether Bottas will box now or box 1 lap later, but it's certainly us two have just got the edge over everyone else at the moment. Now we've been able to fight our way right to the front of the field. It's been a bit of a confidence boost just being able to pull away. Of course, Russell, Hamilton, Ricciardo all still duking it out a lot. And then we now have really got 4.5 teams that are battling out for race victories. Of course, Nicholas Latifi is getting a lot more from him. What worries me is I genuinely think he'll end up staying at Mercedes next season as well. They'll do something ridiculous and re-sign him there. But gap to Bottas has been coming down a little bit. I've been trying to monitor the battery usage as well, though, just trying to work out how much we can afford to take out of each lap, because Le Castellet can naturally be quite an aggressive one for battery usage, but Bottas is going to stay out again. We're just only just going to get the car slowed down into the pit lane here. Looks like George Russell is going to join us there, but both of the Red Bulls stay out. Both McLaren stay out as well, so they're trying to go a little bit longer in this Grand Prix, but now the pit lane here at the Castellet is 37 miles an hour. It really is a very, very long pit lane here. I'm intrigued to see. I think Charles Leclerc has been screwed by his strategy, as that's not a bad stop actually when all is said and done. But yeah, Leclerc's been screwed. He came back out in the midfield, or the back marker runners even I should say. He's got to be really careful of that bump on pit exit. We know we're going to come out just outside the top 10, but unfortunately in a big train of cars as well. We attack the curbs through turn 1 there, and unfortunately we haven't saved as much battery either as I thought we would have in the pit lane, but you know, Leclerc's completely screwed. He's on a 2-stop strategy, so unless he gets a really well-timed safety car, that's his afternoon basically ruined. But yeah, K-Mag, Oscar Piastri, and both Alpines there, as I can remember, we're on cold rubber heading out of the pit lane, as that immediately I think knocks us straight out of the DRS range to really attack those cars in front, as there goes Oscar Piastri on Kevin Magnussen, though maybe if they trip over each other we could still be in a position to try and capitalise. And I think Oscar, has he pulled off a move against one of Formula 1's most aggressive drivers? No, he has not this time. Kevin Magnussen always gets the elbows out, and I mean always. So there we go, Hamilton into the pits. I think we saw Bottas as well in there, as I think it might have been Perez that has boxed out of the 2 Red Bull cars. So yeah, might be able to just try and have a rough idea where we're going to be when they all re-emerge. Like I said, the gap really we're focused on is on Bottas. There as Oscar Piastri dives into the pit lane, but we're going to have a look at the inside of Esteban Ocon through the final corner as well there. Homeboy, of course, his home Grand Prix. But yeah, looks like Ricciardo's actually got the jump on Lewis Hamilton there as we head out of the pit lane. Bottas is still comfortably out in front of this whole gaggle of cars there. In fact, I think he's actually pulled out a couple of seconds on me throughout all of this. So we need to try and get past Norris and K-Mag as soon as possible, but onto the back straight. I'm intrigued to see when Kevin Magnussen's going to box in this Grand Prix, because it should be pretty soon there, but both myself and Lando Norris are going to have the DRS on the Aston Martin here. Are we going to be able to get a run on Lando, though, is probably the bigger question, as Kevin Magnussen might lose 2 places in one, right the outside of Norris as well. And we have got so much grip and so much confidence in this car there. Round the outside of 2 cars at 1 corner. Bottas, the gap's now up to 7 seconds, but that might be, I think, one of my underrated best moves of the year. That was, yeah, kind of all fitting into place there, but just over half distance, 7 seconds to Bottas is no easy feat. It's going to have to be half a second a lap between now and the end of the Grand Prix. We have got our work cut out, as now Zhou Guanyu, and like I said, I'm pretty certain it is Checo Perez into the pits. Sorry, Max Verstappen even into the pits at the end of the lap. No, it was Perez in this time round, so we should really just confirm ourselves in P2. But Bottas just opening up that gap more and more at the moment. That fin, I tell you what, when it's working for Bottas, it really does work for him. Is that the final corner? We are going to be back into P2 of this race, but yeah, 7 seconds is not a small gap to try and close up in half a race. Not going to give up though, got to keep pushing. Oh, we got yellow flags out towards the rear of the field. I think it's one of the Alfa Romeos. Dan Ticktum out of the Grand Prix there, and it looks like it's exactly the same place that Zhou Guanyu retired in real life. Just confirmation then, Dan Ticktum's engine going up in a big way there, so yeah, pretty much does pull over exactly where Zhou Guanyu had to in the real life Grand Prix. I would have wanted that to be a safety car because we are just not as quick as Bottas. Well, 9 laps to go then of this Grand Prix. We're just crossing over 2/3 distance, and I can't help but worry that the second half of this one might be a little bit calmer than the first. Bottas, yeah, he's just pulling away. There's no other way to describe it. He's pulling away about half a second a lap there or thereabouts. I did start to get a little bit worried about George Russell behind, but he's now started to fall off again ever so slightly. So yeah, really does seem that Bottas is in a league of his own, but we are very much driving into no man's land here. Half a second slower than the car in front, a couple of tenths of a second, clear of the car behind. So yeah, lap 19 and 27. It's not looking like, you know, there could be a huge shake-up still, but it's looking at the moment like we might just be solidifying ourselves into P2 in this GP. But why is it always that Max Verstappen or Bottas can have a really strong weekend? You know, occasionally you get both of them, but I just want one weekend where neither of them have a particularly good run, and we can then finally start to try and take big points out of them again. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to get more upgrades on the car, but can't help but wonder if this car doesn't quite utilise its hard tyres very well, because Hamilton has kind of dropped back into that huge gaggle as well. They're now just ahead of, I think, Daniel Ricciardo still, but of course Charles Leclerc, he's going to have to box once more before the checkered flag, so we can't even really battle for fast lap bonus point, because Leclerc's probably going to nab that as well. I think we are just going to lose 7 points to Bottas today, as yellow flag's out suddenly. Who's got issues at the moment? Please don't say it's our teammate Lewis Hamilton. No, I don't know who it is. I think it's one of the Ferraris. It might be Charles Leclerc falling to the wayside. There was one of the Red Bulls into the pit lane. No, it's Daniel Ricciardo out of the French Grand Prix, as that is not the line through turn 1. And again, though, no safety car. Yeah, that mechanical failure for Daniel Ricciardo, though, completely distracted me from the fact, what on earth are Red Bull doing? Why on earth are they stopping Max Verstappen in this GP there? That's basically ruined his chance of scoring points today, so he's going to take big points out of him. But Bottas then is suddenly going to go from losing all of his championship lead last weekend to pretty much building it up in one race. It's just the Bottas way, apparently. Oh, we got yellow flags out. Max Verstappen. No, yeah, Max Verstappen's gone round. What's the Dutchman done? Oh no, riding on board then with Verstappen round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda at turn 1. Please don't say they came together. No, they did in the end, but Max Verstappen and the AlphaTauri have collided late on in the day there. Tsunoda's picked up front wing damage, but what a disastrous afternoon for the Dutchman. I mean, you hate to see it when a Red Bull and an AlphaTauri come together in a Grand Prix, but often it's the AlphaTauri's fault, and that makes it even more painful there. I mean, surely that's going to mean Red Bull are going to be relegating him back down into the junior team. You know, I've heard Nicholas Latifi might be a free agent at some point quite soon, but about to start the final lap then here from the Castellet, and yeah, like I said, you know, I apologise for the fact that this one has been pretty quiet, I think is the word we're going to say, at least in the second half of the afternoon. We had a lot of fun inside the first 14 laps, and then since then I've pretty much seen no one in the last 13 or so, and I mean, that's the way Formula 1 goes sometimes, and you know me, I like to keep it fairly sort of realistic in that regard. But yeah, Bottas, after such a disappointment that was last weekend at Austria, of course had that engine failure on Saturday's sprint race, and then just couldn't quite recover back to where he would have wanted on Sunday, meant that Max Verstappen came into this weekend championship leader by virtue of more wins, of course, tied on points as they went into this one. But Bottas, yeah, has come back swinging here. You do sometimes wonder with the McLaren man whether he's quite got enough, whether the last season was a bit of a fluke, but drives like today so the Bottas is well and truly the real deal at the moment, at least in the My Team career mode. He is going to come and walk away with a dominant victory here in Le Castellet. Was unlucky not to get pole yesterday. Of course, Checo Perez just got that lap nailed just before the rain arrived, but Yeah, Hamilton, though, first race back in Formula 1. It's going to be P6 for him, which is better than most of Teo Porcher's results, but still not exactly where I was hoping from our fellow Brit. But, you know, first race back, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into it, and, of course, this car can be a little bit inconsistent still. You know, it's been a lot better than it has been in previous years, but still not quite there always, and, of course, we've had half a season to adapt to that. Lewis Hamilton certainly hasn't just yet. But round in the final corners, Bottas will take yet another race victory and will open up the gap at the top of the field once more here in La Castellet. At the final corner, though, it's going to be a quiet but well-deserved P2 for us. We got the job done, but we need just a bit more performance.
Yes, come on, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. Great drive. Thank you.
Another superb French Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we could talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those that we've witnessed today.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm very happy to see them there on that top step of the podium. So let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. And Valtteri Bottas passes his rival to take over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, you've put me in a tight spot today, but I think I'll go for Pierre Gasly. He kept a cool head under pressure and made the very most of some difficult circumstances.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the French Grand Prix, and it is Valtteri Bottas that walks away with the race victory, 12 seconds clear of myself, and like I said, we genuinely just couldn't do anything against him later on in the afternoon there. We come through for P2 ahead of Perez. Did do a pretty good recovery there to P3 in the end, just ahead of George Russell and Zhou Guanyu. Hamilton down in 6th, I'm sure a little bit gutted with that, but a huge learning experience for him with a new team there. First Grand Prix Hamilton's ever done as well, without Mercedes power in Formula 1. Only took him about 300 attempts before he managed that. Charles Leclerc somehow did manage the one-stop strategy when all is said and done, so fair play to him and Ferrari there. Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon managed to get a double point finish for Alpine against all the odds ahead of Max Verstappen in P10 there. K-Mag just missed out ahead of both Williams after a disastrous qualifying and a good recovery in the Grand Prix, and it was just Daniel Ricciardo and Dan Tickton that didn't make it through to the checkered flag there. Championship-wise, though, it does mean, yep, Bottas, 23 points clear back at the top of the standings. We're now just 11 points away even, from the Dutchman once more, so that gap just swings up and down. Hamilton straight into P14 of the championship, jumping a whole host of cars there as K-Mag gets the jump on Felipe Drugovich there on countback. I had forgot Aston Martin hadn't scored points so far this year, so that is a gutting result for Kevin Magnussen, but yeah, that's going to do us then for the French Grand Prix. Constructors-wise, though, as well, Aston Martin jump Alfa Romeo on countback. So this weekend, Aston Martin have well and truly moved themselves up the order there. But yeah, we open up the gap ahead of Ferrari once more. Hopefully, we're going to be able to maintain that between now and season's end. But that's going to do us, though, for this weekend here from La Castellet. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very, very soon with more F1 22 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.